Hey, everybody, my name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami, and welcome to the Camper Report Show.
On this Camper Report Show, we are going to be talking to a family who was stranded for 24 hours on an interstate highway on a rare ice storm. They're going to tell you what you need to have in your RV every time you go on a long distance trip, regardless of what time of the year it is. How about you, Bob?
Well, I've got Matt Oles, the new general manager with East to West. He's an industry veteran, and we're changing up some of our interviews this year. We're going to be talking to more product managers and general managers and explaining why their product line is good for the consumers and giving them a little inside tip.
It's all about the consumers right here on
the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro, and we're talking a little bit about the news that's going on this week in the RV industry. And Bob, in the world of RVing, this is the time of the year when the consumer shows, the RV shows that take place in civic centers and arenas all over the country. Initial reports from Texas are that it's going to be a good year for the industry.
Yeah, the attendance was high, much better than expected. And the buying frenzy was there. They also noticed that, again, the trend is continuing with first-time buyers. A lot of the people, younger couples, young families were there. So it sets the stage very well for 2022. I think we're going to see this with all of the consumer shows, but we got out the gate in Texas early, and both Fort Worth and San Antonio had incredible shows.
And again, travel trailers being the star attraction, right, Bob?
Yeah, and the lightweight travel trailers, the small travel trailers for the families, those are selling like hotcakes. And the show season continues. You know, we're opening up in Boston on this will air on Friday, so we'll be opening up Friday afternoon in Boston. Follow that with the Tampa Super Show. Expectations are high in both locations, and the dealers are excited. It's a unique environment, but we haven't had shows for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And dealers like RV shows. They get a chance to see a lot of people, and conversely, people like RV shows. They get a chance to see a lot of RVs. So it's always been a good working formula, but it's going to be good to get back into that mode.
And speaking of the Tampa show, our viewers should be on the lookout for the RV Life booth that is going to be down there. They can see our friend Patrick Buchanan and many other RVers that they see every week on the Camp Report Show. So that's a good one. Now, talking about people that are buying new RVs, they've got to travel from place to place. And there was another story that said, you know, depending upon where you are in the country, some gas prices are rising and some are falling. But historically, Bob, gas prices really have had no impact on RVers because they're going to have to take, they're going to take their vacation regardless of what gas prices are, right?
Very, very little impact. It does not stop people from traveling at all. It doesn't stop them from camping. Instead of going 500 miles, they might go 250. You know, if it's going to cost them a little bit more to fill up the gas tank, they just travel a little bit less. Yep. And it does appear, at least in the Northeast, that it's kind of stabilized. It's still over $3 a gallon, but running around about $3.25.
Exactly.
That seems to be okay with them. And all you have to do is drive down the highway and look in both directions, and you're going to see RVs. So we don't see that being an impact at all. People are just, and you can validate that with the difficulty some people are having getting campground reservations. Campgrounds already a year or two in advance, and they're getting premium prices on some certain lots. And I even read something this week where I forget what they call it, but campers can pick a particular site. Campgrounds don't have to give you, usually it's just whatever site they give you. But if you pick out a site, then they charge a premium for that site to be available to you.
Yeah.
So people are going to drive and they're going to go camping, and gas isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's the same situation on the airplane. You can buy a ticket that's a little bit cheaper, but if you want to be able to select your seat, you're going to pay $25 or $30 more.
Yep.
And speaking of traveling, more and more people are RVing for the first time. But now, for the first time that I can remember, you're reading about RVing, and you're reading it in prestige lifestyle magazines like the Robb Report, and also financial magazines like Bloomberg. So RVing is not just for those backwoods people, it's for everybody now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of attention. I was particularly impressed when I saw the article in the Robb Report talking about 10 camper vans, Class B motorhomes, and why they're so popular. The Bloomberg article dealt with very expensive off-road vehicles that some people wouldn't even call an RV. You couldn't call it an SUV, couldn't call it an RV. They're over the road. They go out in the desert. They're self-contained. They got big gas tanks, and some of them cost up to $1 million. And in fact, the article they wrote about, the guy who bought that particular one gets together with his friends over the wine club, and they talk about their Lamborghinis and Ferraris.
Yeah.
So now we're in the same conversation as Lamborghinis, Ferraris, yeah, fine art, fine wine, and guess what? There's RVs.
There you go.
It's not a bad deal.
Exactly. And speaking of RVs, a lot of people want to go RVing. And one of the popularities, one of the reasons that the Go RVing campaign is so popular and has been so popular is because our friend Karen Redfern, and she just got promoted to a real big position at the RVIA. Talk a little bit about our friend Karen.
Yeah, Karen has been
a New Englander, by the way.
Karen, who has been in charge of the Go RVing campaign for many, many years, and drove a real dynamic change in the Go RVing, total rewrite of the website last year. All new content, a lot of content, again, for the first time buyers, the people who are discovering it, the high-end stuff. And Karen was just promoted this week to Chief Marketing Officer at RVIA, and that's a well-deserved promotion. It's always a pleasure working with Karen.
Well, there you go, everybody. There's all the news for the week from RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine. And Bob, tell our viewers once again the name of this show.
The Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody. We have a great show lined up for you today.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Camper Report Show. And my guest tonight is Matt Oles, the new general manager for East to West RV. Matt, always great to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. We got a new position at East West. Give us a little bit about your background, so for folks that may not know who you are.
Hey, thanks, Bob. So I started out in the RV industry on the retail side of the business, just shy of 15 years ago. I've been in the wholesale side a little over 10 years, and been at East to West going a little over 2 years, and just got promoted to the general manager position January 1st.
Well, you know, you're new to that position, and East to West is a relatively new company. Tell us how old they are and how they got started.
Yeah, so East to West was started by Pete Legal's daughter, Lisa Legal Reese, which I think we're going on just shy of being a 5-year-old company. Started out with a stick and tin brand called Della Terra, which is the brand I manage. We've gotten into laminated trailers. We got 2 new fifth wheel brands that have been out for going on a year, 2 years. And we also just entered into the Class C market in the last year. So got a lot of exciting things going on at East to West.
Yeah, I found that an interesting addition to the product line, the Class C motorhome, because you started out, like I say, with the travel trailers and fifth wheel. What made you enter the motorized market so quickly after the company was formed?
Good question. That's Lisa and Pete that kind of made those decisions, but I think it's just progression of the brands and what we're building here at East to West. A lot of our business model is, pretty simple. Like, we're going to be entering a lot of the different segments of the RV industry, but we're coming in with less floor plans, less options. We're coming out with only the best selling floor plans. We're not offering a lot of options to the the customers and the dealers. So we're trying to make it streamlined for production, friendly, quality, all the things that kind of tie in with that. So the motorized segment, I would say, was just a progression of where we were going. We kind of started hitting all those towable segments.
That's actually a good strategy to have something for everybody. When you look at your products and when you look at who's buying the products, what are you seeing in terms of your customer base?
Oh, so customer base has been a little different in the last couple of years. Obviously, with the COVID, people call them the COVID buyers. It's like people that have never camped before. We got a lot of new first-time buyers, especially in the travel trailer segment, for somebody that already has a tow vehicle and they can tow something that exists without, needing to upgrade to a truck or just buy a motorhome. But I think it's people just discovering this industry and what we're doing, and it's always been here. But I think COVID just kind of exposed it. Somebody that didn't want to go get on a plane or get on a cruise and go travel. They wanted to go social distance. And I think what's awesome about it is a lot of people got hooked on it. We have a travel trailer personally with my family. We also have a Class C motorhome. We've been campers for years. And even I've experienced it. I have friends from college and high school that bought campers, and we go camping together now. We're going on a couple of years, during the COVID lockdown. I live in Michigan, just over the border from Indiana. And especially during 2020, so many things were locked down, you had nothing you could do. So a bunch of friends bought campers and we went camping together. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I think we're going to see that in the shows. I know we've got our Boston show coming up this weekend, and we're gearing the show towards that exact audience, the first-time buyers and the people who are looking to become first-time buyers. So it's been a nice wave for the last couple of years, but I think that's going to maybe double itself over the next couple of years, because now it's so popular and getting so much attention in the media.
You bet.
What do you look for in a dealer? There's a lot, we all know this industry. We got a lot of manufacturers, we got a lot of product brands. Dealers have a lot of choices. So how do you
There's a lot of brands, there's awfully a lot of brands for the amount of RVs we truly ship as an industry, which is fun, right? So we're pretty strategic with our partners. We're blessed. We got some really good dealer partners. We're big on quality. We try to build it from, you've been to our facility. The last time we had a in-person open house was at East to West. You've seen the facilities. They're 100,000 square foot. They're amazing buildings, but it's all about implementing it at the line. I feel there's too many companies. They want to fix things after the fact. We got these PDI centers, we got this and that. Yeah, we got a PDI center that we send stuff to with corporate, but we make it right from the beginning. We make sure we implement that strategy on the line, and literally from the top down, from Lisa and Pete all the way down, quality is embedded into our culture. Every unit we build every day is walked by a salesman. So that unit cannot ship to a dealer until we at least touch it, feel it, go through it, and make sure we feel like it gets the stamp of approval to go to that dealer. And we're starting to build some decent volume. So it's an investment on our part, but with those limited options, limited floor plans, production friendly environment, and obviously great facilities, I feel we're building a really nice unit, and it is trickling down to the retail. You're getting these people that are buying these things. They're having a good experience. They're telling their friends about it. My best friend and his family, his wife and family, we sold him one of our laminated trailers this past fall. I actually delivered it to his house, and I can promise you, I felt really good about bringing that unit to him because I knew they were going to have a good experience. So, that's a very interesting statement, Matt, because there are some companies and there are some products that you would not want to deliver to your friend's house. And we know that. These past 18 months, going on 2 years now, it was a race to the finish to get stuff built because sales are so robust. Well, I can promise you, there were some times that we dropped production rates and we dropped the hammer on our production team and said, look, this is not acceptable quality. We have a percentage of our units that go to our corporate Forest River PDI center too. So we get reports weekly on units, but we will drop rates and we will pull production back to make sure that we're building the right product. And don't get me wrong, we're humans. These are human built products.
Right.
We're not perfect. And when we do have an issue, I can promise you we take care of the customer and the dealer. I mean, we've brought units back. We've gone above and beyond dealers. Like I've jumped in my truck on a Thursday afternoon, thrown a fridge in the back and drove it to a dealer 4 hours away to make sure that customer got their fridge so they could go camping that weekend. I mean, it's all about those little things that add up.
Well, but that's why you're the general manager now. From the first day that I met you, you were one of the hardest working sales reps. You took an interest in every customer that came through your units in the show. I've watched you work in the shows. You reached out to me one time when you knew I was going to be in Elkhart and say, please come over and let me show you the plant. You were very proud of the plant. Come over and do it. So it's built into your fabric of how you approach the industry and how you've approached the customers. Tell me a little bit more about.
I appreciate that.
Well, no, you've earned it quite well. Tell me a little bit more about the PDI and sending it over to Forest River. So is that a step in the QC process that it takes it away from your factory to someplace else, and then they go over, so you got a whole nother set of eyes looking at the manufactured product prior to going to the dealer?
Yeah, absolutely. So as that unit's being built down the line, there's a set of QCs that touch it, inspect it, stamp it before it's ready to green and be ready to go. Well, there's a percentage of units that we send per week to this corporate PDI facility. I don't know which ones they are. My plant manager doesn't know our QCs. They're randomly picked units. We ship them off to our PDI center in Goshen, which goes through obviously a super thorough check. And they check for codes, they check for everything you can think of. And we're pretty blessed. Like we just got our year-end PDI report, and we ranked pretty high within Forest River, even with Rockwood Flagstaff and some brands that have been doing this stuff for 30, 40 years, some crazy amount of time. So it makes us feel really good that we're doing things right. Now, in some of these plants, we're startups, right? We're running lower volumes, we're starting to progress and build a brand, but it all starts from the beginning. And the great thing is it's a culture that we've built from the top down, whether it's our plant manager, whether it's our QCs, whether it's the line workers, whether it's salesmen. I mean, everybody knows the expectations, and they also know, like, hey, if we have to pull back on production, that's money out of your check. So they want to do a good job. They want to run numbers. They want to get paid, just like sales guys want to get paid. We want to ship units. But at the end of the day, as this industry starts to shift and sales start to shift, I want to be one of those brands on a dealer's lot that says, hey, these guys have done a good job. Yeah, they're not perfect, but when there was an issue, they took care of their customers. And when things start to slow down, we want to be that brand that continues to grow with our dealers. Well,
and that's also another very valid point. We know they're handmade. And I think the approach, I'd like to see the industry as a whole manage the customer expectations better. It's okay to say that, every once in a while, we're going to have a bad unit. Every once in a while, a component is going to break because it came from a supplier. But I think with all these new RVers that were coming into the industry, we have got to manage the expectations of the consumer. They're coming into this with their eyes wide open. We all know that people buy these things on emotion. They love it. They heard their neighbors do it. They've seen the kids down the block have it. But let's be honest with them and say, look, sometimes it's going to be a problem, which is one of the reasons why we certainly, in our dealer organization, emphasize people buying from the local dealer. You want to
100%. We're big on that as well.
Talk about your theory on that a little bit.
So, I mean, not trying to go off on a rant, but like I had a buddy who bought a camper, great friend of mine, wanted to get into camping. COVID hit, right? So he bought a used single axle unit. I went and helped him check it out, got a really good deal, and they got hooked on camping. Well, he doesn't even own the toolbox. I don't even think he knows how to run a screwdriver. So
that's me.
I'm kind of dreading him going camping with me, because I'm like, all right, when I go camping, I'm there with the wife and 3 girls and the dog. And half of the time I'm chasing the dog around, making sure he's not eating stuff he's not supposed to. And I'm going to have my buddy over there who doesn't know how to run a camper. Well, of course, buying a used trailer just off Facebook Marketplace, like he's not educated. So of course I had to teach him how to use it. Well, they got hooked, and they actually bought an East to West Alta, which is our laminate trailer, actually this past fall. But kind of to your point, like what we're doing, and what we're experiencing is, there's a huge influx of buyers, right? We've been really strategic with our dealer partners to make sure we're doing really thorough PDIs. Like, we'll jump in. We understand that there's times that it's overwhelming for the dealers. We'll jump in, help take care of those customers. A couple of unique things we do as sales reps and stuff, when we're traveling to our dealers, we're not just going there to sell units and train salespeople. We're meeting with service managers and we're doing service surveys. So we're meeting with the service managers saying, hey, what can East to West do better? I'll meet with the service manager personally, when I had a territory, and the service manager is like, I haven't had a sales rep come up to me in years. And I said, hey, we're different than everybody else. Like, what can we do to help you? And they appreciate it. And dude, it could even be the fact that they didn't have a point of contact and they were contacting the wrong person and they're getting frustrated saying, hey, I'm not getting an answer. Well, you're contacting the wrong guy. Oh, well, thank you for that information. Yeah. And one unique thing that Lisa's done a great job with is, one thing we're doing a little different than a lot of divisions and a lot of companies is we have individual service and parts reps per brand. So they specialize in their brand. So you're not calling into East to West as a dealer and trying to get support on our motorhome, our 2 fifth wheels, our laminate trailer, and our traditional metal sided trailer, and trying to get an answer out of, for 5 brands with one person. They say, hey, you got to call this guy. He only handles Delaterra. Call this guy. He handles Alta. This lady handles Tandera and stuff. So what's great for them is with the limited amount of floor plans, and we train them just like we do salespeople. So they understand the product changes. When we make model changes, they're in tune. We go out and train them, make sure they understand what's going on with the product. They touch and feel it, and their offices are in the plant, which is incredible. So they're an expert on the brand, just like we are as sales guys.
So that's a great review. And our guest tonight has been Matt Olds, General Manager for East to West. Matt, it sounds like you really got the ball rolling over there, and
it's great.
I can see why the sales are going up, and why our dealers like the brand a lot. So yeah, best of luck in your new role as GM. So now you get all the issues, but you get all the opportunities. And I know you.
Yeah, no, it's been fun.
Yeah, and I know you've got the work ethic to it. So, all right, Matt, thank you very much. We will catch up with you down the road.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard, pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
We scoured the United States and we found a couple from nearby Pennsylvania that spent 19 to 24 hours, depending upon who you talk to, stuck in that. Here, I'm going to duck down here for a second so you can see what they were stuck in. Okay. And we want to welcome them. We want to welcome Ricky and Danielle. And both your last name is Meyer?
Meyer, yeah.
Okay. I always ask that question. Can't assume anything anymore, but tell us what it was like. First of all, tell us where you're from in Pennsylvania and where you were coming from Point South. And we presume you were down there for was it the Christmas and New Year's break?
So I'll take this one. We actually went to North Carolina, and then we traveled from North Carolina. We were there for 2 days. And then from there, we actually went down to Jacksonville, Florida, where my uncle lives. So we wanted to go there to visit him, let the kids swim in pools, 85-degree weather, even got to go on the beach. It was beautiful. It was perfect. It was everything that you wanted in a vacation. And we spent New Year's there, and we spent an extra day and was like, we're going to give ourselves 2 days to get home from Jacksonville to, we live in Green Lane, Pennsylvania. And we thought that would be enough, and it was not. It It was not. It was not. So we started traveling home, and we just kept hitting bumps every turn, literally every turn we had. It started out with one thing and then it was another. So he's better at telling the things that happened in the camper and the RV, but it was not smooth sailing to get home, that's for sure. And all I kept saying was, Florida was 85 degrees. Let's go back.
Okay. So let's put it this way. It was a lot smoother sailing in an RV than if you just had the truck or were in your family car. And am I right with that?
Yeah, thank God we did.
Yep. And Ricky, you mentioned to me today that you guys are new to RVing. Was this your first long distance trip?
It's actually our second. So we did the entire Northeast up to Maine and back this summer.
The summer,
and
yeah.
Yeah, we did a couple short trips here and there. But we just decided on a whim with the year that we had, we wanted to get away from the cold and this and that. So we decided to go down to Florida right after Christmas.
So you kind of, you've driven it before, so you know, you can get 50 miles an hour in or whatever it is. So you kind of had it geared that you didn't have to be crazy to drive back. I mean, you had enough time planned, right? But
yeah, I've been driving my parents had a travel trailer growing up. So I learned to drive that at a pretty young age. So I'm not necessarily that new to it, but it's our first camper, our first go around with it as a family. So.
Okay, so you're through South Carolina, you're through North Carolina, you're halfway through Virginia, you're north of Richmond, and you figure clear sailing, right?
Yeah, well, we knew we were going to hit some crazy rain and wind and stuff leaving Jacksonville, but in South Carolina, actually, right as soon as we started hitting a little rain, we needed fuel for the truck, and I was going to get off at the next exit. And here we got a flat tire. We had a flat tire right on 95. And somebody was nice enough to pull up and tell us that. So we got off, and it was an exit where there was nowhere to go, nowhere to pull off or turn around. We ended up going through some backcountry road with a bunch of logging roads off of it, and finally found a big church to pull over at to change a tire.
So the tire was on the trailer or in the truck?
On the trailer. So it was low, but not completely flat. And like I said, we pulled over at a church that didn't even have a paved parking lot. So I pulled onto their basketball court just to get out of the sand that was in the area. And luckily enough, it was under the awning. I put the awning out to change the tire. So we didn't get soaked when it did start downpouring.
So it's on the right rear.
It took the wind out of our sails. As far as that night went, we finally went and got fuel and got dinner, and yeah, it was. Okay.
So we should say that you were also traveling with a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. Is that I got
correct,
the ages right? Okay.
Yes.
They're oblivious to what's going on, right? I mean, they got maybe they have their devices, or of course they're sitting in the back of the truck with you. They're not in the back of the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, they were on a Harry Potter marathon at the time, so.
Okay, so goodness for Harry. Thank goodness for Harry Potter. So now you're back on the road again, and where did it start getting dicey / icy?
Probably coming into Virginia, it was definitely snowing, and I was keeping an eye on the temperatures as they were going down. And finally, I was saying to her, it's 32 degrees. And she said, stop reminding me. And I'm like, look, I'm talking about for driving purposes. It's 32 degrees, stuff's going to start freezing on the road and this and that. And then we actually pulled off. I wanted to get off of 95 and take a detour because I knew there were already shutdowns ahead of us. So we wanted to get off 95. We tried to take a detour, ended up on some other backcountry roads with our trailer that is 37 feet long.
37.
Yeah, and pretty tall. And so we got off on some backcountry roads that were already snow covered and ice. The trees were coming in on the sides. Luckily, we had a good Samaritan help us out with the chainsaw to get back on the highway.
To get back on the highway. Okay,
Yeah,
so you can get stuck worse there.
Yeah, so it started detouring us, and it actually took us a certain way. And where it was taking us, there were signs for bridges that you can only cross if we were 4,000 tons. Well, we're over that, and we knew that. So we told them, we're like, we can't go this way, and they kept saying to us, go this way. Right before the bridge, you can make a right-hand turn. Well, we got there, we go to make the right, and there's just this big tree in front of us, and we're like, whoa, we can't. We turned, and we had nowhere to go. I looked at him. What can I do to help? He goes, go to cut down that tree. I was like, what? So a gentleman and like his son, I guess they were going around, and they were with a chainsaw cutting things down, and they actually helped us find our way back.
So you were like, kind of like, we're here in Deliverance Part 2.
Oh yeah.
So was it daytime or nighttime now?
So daytime.
This is
Daytime.
this is just after noon, I think. 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, actually.
Okay. So you had an early start that morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're back on 95.
Yeah, which I said not to do. I want that on record.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Who said don't do it?
I did. I said,
Okay.
don't do it. Don't go on. And literally, I'm not even kidding. He was pulling on, and we already saw the traffic stopping, like in front of us. And I was like, I told you we shouldn't have gone. And he's like, well, we're already here. It's not like you could, like with a travel trailer, you can't like turn around.
Oh.
So you just gotta go full force into it. And we did. And it was the first time I've ever drove the camper, because, you couldn't really do anything or go anywhere. So if you want to take a break or go use the bathroom, I could, at least inch our way up and up and up. And that's all I did.
You were just inching. Was there a point where it was just stopped?
Yes.
Okay.
That happens around. I was texting my family and friends because they were like, I see this craziness. And I said, yep, we're in it.
Yeah, wave. We're here. We're right. Yeah. We're right down there.
Yeah, we were there. That was about it was around 7 o'clock that night when we just
dark.
completely moved.
It's dark at 7 at night.
Yeah.
Okay. And how were the temperatures at the time? Were you worried about freezing up and back?
It went down to 22.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And you hadn't winterized yet, right? You hadn't re-winterized?
No, we hadn't. We had water in the tanks because of where we camped at in North Carolina and Florida. So we did have water in our tanks. We have a toy hauler. It's got large storage tanks. So we weren't concerned about running out or anything. And then we had planned on either dumping on the way home or, re-winterizing when I got home in the driveway kind of thing.
Okay. So now you're stopped. Were there was traffic on both sides of you? Were you in the right lane, left lane? What was the deal as far as
right lane? So there was right, and there was still somebody in the middle, and then another one in the left.
On the left, okay.
It was still 3 lanes at that point.
When did you decide to put the kids in? Did you put the kids in back? Yeah, right. You said you the kids in Danielle. You went to put the kids in back.
Yeah, I did. So they were getting really antsy, and that was around like 8 o'clock, and we really hadn't moved at all at that point. So I just, and if it did, it's not like we couldn't just pull them out and bring them back into the, into the truck kind of thing. Yeah. So they were back there. I was back there with them for about a good hour. And then I was, we had our phones. I texted him. He goes, we haven't moved. I don't see us moving right now. So just let them sleep. And I put them to bed and told them, kissed them goodnight and said, hopefully we'll get out of this and I'll see you soon. But other than that, see you in the morning.
Okay. So you didn't put out slides or awnings or anything.
No, we did not.
No.
Yeah.
But Ricky, you took a picture of the guy behind you that had his slide out, right? Right on the interstate highway?
Yeah, we purposely bought a trailer that we didn't have to do that just to access our bathroom. So I think that was a good call on our part.
Yeah, because that was the slide. The slide is out. So did people knock on your door at all, ask if you need food or if you had any food or water or medicine or anything like that?
No, nobody was really out and about. Everybody kind of kept to ourselves in our area.
Okay.
But trying to make friends, they would just roll up the window. And then we did end up going out the next morning with the kids. They brought some like protein bars, crackers, water, seeing if anybody wanted any, like if needed something.
Yeah.
We did have extra blankets, but at that point you don't like, especially also with COVID, I think everybody's just so like huddled together that they don't like huddled to themselves, that they don't really want to talk to other people in that aspect. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Now, what advice would you have to RVers that are traveling this time of year? Because, you know, there's a lot of our, you said you saw tons of RVs on 95, right?
Mhm.
Right. And especially right after the first of the year, you get a lot of the Northeastern people that head to Florida. They stay at home, you know, for Christmas and New Year's. What advice would you have to RVers about, outside of having a full tank as much as possible and having propane, what other things would you say to have in your RV for the trip?
That generator. I mean, I had food that I could microwave so that we still had a warm dinner. Like I could actually microwave or do things. The generator, I mean, we ran the generator and the propane. So the kids had, you know, a bed to sleep in and warmth, like when they were in the camper. So that generator really was, we really needed that.
Yep. And that Winnebago Spider toy hauler that you have held the heat in pretty well, insulated well.
Yeah, it's a Four Seasons insulated unit. So, you know, we plan on camping in the cold weather at some point, and that was the first time. Yeah.
So nobody gave birth to a baby in the next car or anything like that, right?
Not that we know of.
Not that you know of. Okay, you never know.
Nothing too crazy. I helped the guy behind us with the RV. We had to jump start his truck first thing in the morning, so I lent some jumper cables. I do keep tools and everything, so I could change tires, and I'm pretty prepared as far as that goes. But with any other cold weather driving situation, bottles of water and a couple snacks kind of thing, just to keep in your car.
Keep in the car. That's right. Exactly.
And blankets.
And blankets. Right. Well, we want to thank you so much. Let me ask you this final question. Did this solidify your love for RVing, or did it put it on edge?
I think we're going to take a nice break for the rest of the winter. But yeah, we still want to travel and see the country. So
yeah.
Right.
We have been lucky enough to see a lot of the South, or, you know, the Northeast coast and the Northeast in general. But now, you know, we still want to go see out West. So we're not giving up.
Great. Hey, we want to thank you so much for taking time. I know that today you were still re-winterizing and getting some of the stuff out of the gear, out of the trailer, getting the gear out of the trailer and getting back into the house. So we want to thank you so much. And our guests have been the Survivors. This should be a new version of Survivor. Ricky and Danielle Meyer from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much.